March 17th, 2023 is the national debut of Shazam, Fury of the Gods. So we're going down memory lane of 2019's Shazam. Sure you can. No, is that it one? Is that the right one?
No, it was the wrong one. That's a fireball.
Right.
Mortal Kombat was
right.
the one where he's like,
from the movie, you would know what I'm talking about. Welcome back to Tales of Two Bros. I am Angel.
I'm Adon.
Where we give you a review at least once a week. Spoilers. All right, I just finished rewatching Shazam.
Yep.
That came out again, like I said before, in 2019. It's been a while since of COVID.
So not Shaq Shazam.
Shaq Fu?
No, Shaq.
That's the video. That's the video game. Was it Shazam or was it something else?
No, it was Shazam. I can't say it properly. It's Shazam. 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 Spelled the same way, but it was Shaq. It's a genie.
I beg to differ right now. I'm going to...
I would be happy to eat crow if it was Shazam, because that sounds hilarious.
Kazam is the movie, not Shazam or Shazam spelled the same way.
I always thought it was based on the cartoon Shazam, because that was a cartoon too.
What, Kazam?
No, it wasn't Shazam.
Kazam was a genie. Yes.
Oh, I thought it was Shazam. I always remember. Was that the Mandela effect? Like, I always remember it as one thing, but it's never actually happened.
Apparently so on this one. So, all right, let's just get into it. So, again, I just rewatched it to get myself ready for the sequel that's been, I guess you will say, 4 years in the making. Did you rewatch it?
I did.
I liked it the first time I saw it. I did enjoy it because it wasn't, even though it's part of the DCEU,
it wasn't at the same time.
Correct. You had callbacks to it. You have callbacks to Batman, Aquaman, Superman, all those guys from the Justice League. They show the characters in the credits. You get almost a cameo, if you will, at the end.
Yeah.
And what makes it so nice in comparison to that world, it's not so dark. Yeah, there are some violent scenes. The monsters are pretty grotesque. But in comparison to the Wonder Woman films, to definitely the Zack Snyder directed films, it's a refreshing spin of that universe.
Yeah.
What was your thought? Because, I mean, granted, I like it, and granted, I do own it. This is actually, my third time maybe seeing it after so many times or so many years. What about you?
I'm going to say I saw it. This might have been my third or fourth time, because I saw it originally in theaters. Then I saw it with my dad and our dad. Saw it like one other time, I want to say. So this may have been my fourth time over the years.
Does it hold up still from what you last saw it? Do you remember it as being as good, or is it better now than last time?
No, I think it's pretty much as good. I don't think it got better. The issues I had with it before still persist, but that was...
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Because, well, I would say that, like, the issues I had with it before, and I'm owning this as me being the comic book nerd and knowing what I know about the comics.
Let me guess. It's Billy.
Billy is such a problem for me.
Okay. I felt the same way. Billy's portrayal, yes, but go on. Go ahead. Give me your take on that.
So, and I give room for artistic license and stuff like that a lot of times. And even in the comics, I know they made changes to Billy's character. But fundamentally, Billy is a good guy. And I know they took a long time to get to Billy as a good guy fundamentally. But it took way too long, in my opinion. Like, he was like straight up a criminal in a lot of different ways. And like, I just didn't see like those redeeming qualities in there. And one of the quintessential moments, him getting the powers. So like, originally, like, I found in your pure heart, I gave you the powers. In the comics, that eventually changed, and the wizard's like, you're not worthy. He's like, and he literally confronts the wizard, and he's like, no one's ever worthy. No one's ever worthy unless they are confronted with that moment, and they have to prove that they're worthy, and then they become that moment. So it's like, how are you ever going to find a person that doesn't exist? Just by this. And the wizard's like, good point. I'm going to give it to you. He talked the wizard into doing it. Here it was like the Wizard out of desperation said, "You'll do," which
Right. I mean, I did find that weird that he just randomly, the wizard that is, will go out and look for kids. Kind of weird, kind of creepy, also, if you will.
Yeah.
And then he'll just grab a kid. Like, he didn't really do any research. It's not like, say, like the Green Lantern's ring.
Yeah, well, he set up
someone with strong will.
Technically did a searching spell that's supposed to find people who would be worthy.
Right, but when he did with the villain guy, Mark Strong's character, he would just pick them out. It was like almost random, and then he'll test them later with the orb of the 7 sins.
Exactly.
And I was like, that's your homework. You're not doing that well or batting well. Your average is not that well in doing the proper research, my boy. But go on.
Well, the other things that were flawed in that is one, I mean, it just centers around Billy as it is. So like when he's telling Billy the origin about like the whole Black Adam scenario, and that goes into consistency with the DCEU. They actually changed what Black Adam's origin is when it's depicted there versus what it is in the Black Adam movie.
Before you continue, you know that Dwayne Johnson was an executive producer of this.
Yes, but that doesn't mean they fully listened to him.
No, I'm just saying though, but he was like, we know that Black Adam was in 15 years in the making.
Yeah, he had his hands on it.
Which you would think that since he has his hands on it and he was in the process of making Black Adam, there will be a better connection. Granted though, his image is clearly seen here when there's a little quick flashback. Is his body or his, not his body, but the way that he's perceived in the film of Black Adam.
It looks like
is right, with the cape hanging over, the hood hanging over, and the size of the character. Right. Even though it's not clear exactly who it is, but go on.
In that note, like you can argue with that's whole DCEU's continuity issues anyways. So to continue, also with him and Shazam, when he's talking about like, look at the 7 empty seats of my brothers and sisters, right? In that scene, they flash back to that same scene later on in the film. The line is completely different. He does the same gesture, and he's like, they're waiting to be filled. That was never said. So they added words into the same exact scene, so that was flawed. But the biggest issue I had overall is that his personality without the powers was with his personality with the powers, they just didn't seem to mesh. Like I understand, like I remember watching Captain Marvel or Shazam, like on Justice League. Great interpretation of Captain Marvel, by the way. For those who are listening, watching, watch Captain Marvel in Justice League. Fantastic interpretation, and other DC animated projects
Is he
too.
called Captain Marvel or is he called Shazam?
He's called Captain Marvel because anybody who like if he used his name Shazam, he'll just revert back. So he goes by the name Captain Marvel. Even Young Justice did it even better. Young Justice did a perfect Captain Marvel. He's a child, and they'll call him out on it. You act like a child at times, and he goes, "Oh, no, I don't." And like he's trying to hide the fact that he's a child. Here, it doesn't really hide it that like when I say not that well, is his personality does leak through. But he literally tells everybody, "That's because I am a kid. I am a child." Like he just snitches on himself so quickly. Right. He doesn't really try to act the part. He doesn't act the hero, really. That's what it is.
Well, like for me, like you're saying like Young Justice and Justice League has the best interpretation of Shazam and Billy Batson.
The Batman, the Black Adam versus Shazam movie.
Shazam, Superman, The Return of Black Adam.
Yes.
That one was the best interpretation of Black Adam, the best interpretation of Shazam and Billy Batson. And you could say a little bit of Superman there too, in the sense of his representation, excuse me.
Well, because that was
and they took also, they also took how
the Wizard
Billy,
and the Tiger.
how Billy met the Wizard.
Yeah.
Same here. Or it happened first in the animation, whereas on a train. And then the train takes him right to the spot or the subway.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I was like, okay, you took that literally from there. But also I got to say later on, remind me later, but there was a flashback of The Last Dragon towards the end. And to me, it was Last Dragon. I was like, what? Wait, what? It was similar but different, but we'll get to that later. But I agree with you with the cast or the acting choice from the actor who played Billy.
It's the story that was written for him. I'm sure the kid would do a better job. It's just that script for him of how he's supposed to be. I can't say that was the kid acting that out.
Either the kid didn't do his homework or the writers didn't do their homework. Because he just sounded like so ungrateful for everything. Now, I understand that he's looking for his
mother.
I understand that's a drive for a lot of foster kids or adopted kids. That's the drive to find out who their real original parents were. And why did you leave me? Why did you let me go? Or how come you didn't look for me? Something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And granted, that was pretty sad when he found her and how that came about. And he finds the truth and like how he remembers that last day and how she remembers that last day. Because he saw everything all nice and chippy and she was all very happy.
And she was very kind and soft.
Right, where she's doing the best she can, but she's exhausted. She's tired. She's frustrated. And then when she sees that there's an opportunity to let him go,
she does.
Or not have a responsibility for him, she takes it. Granted, you would think that the cops will look for her because since they had the same last name and know where the address was, you think they will find her. Here's your kid.
Well, no, that he was young, probably too young to remember his address. But
but I'm saying like that with the last name, right? And then what's your mother's name? But granted, you probably didn't know his mother's name. You probably know it just as mom.
Mom. On that note, I did heard a fact, definitely a sad fact, that apparently is not uncommon. It's actually extremely common in amusement parks and specifically Disney parks like Disneyland or Disney World, where there are reports of lost children as actually the parents intentionally abandoning their kids there.
Yeah.
And which is extremely sad but when I was watching that part in this movie, it reminded me about that fact. I was like, that is extremely messed up because A, they're abandoning their kids, and B, that traumatizes those kids about those places.
Of course.
So I could only imagine what Billy, the character Billy Batson feels about amusement parks, especially now that he knows the truth about his mother and comes to that realization. Not really touched upon in the movie so much, but it is another layer that I can add on to it.
Zachary Levi, who plays Shazam, he got that part down. He got it great in the sense of a kid in a adult body, like Big from Tom Hanks.
I feel like a lot of people didn't like him doing that, but I was perfectly fine with that.
Which one? Tom Hanks or
no, Zachary?
Okay. I mean, I can understand. Like a lot of people were not really. I wasn't a big fan of the casting of Zachary because he's not muscular, and it's obvious he's wearing a bodysuit underneath the costume.
He did put on a muscle
so
in comparison to what he used to be, though.
No, so he put on size. I wouldn't necessarily say muscle because the photos of him putting on muscles is just that he just lifted heavy and got that, I guess, overall size, but it's not defined like it is in the muscle costume.
It's fair.
Again, he needed a muscle costume for it. It's very common with wearing muscle costumes underneath the body's muscle suit underneath the costumes.
Yeah, look at Batman.
Well, Batman is more like armor, right?
Exactly.
And then you have with Henry Cavill, who is muscular, who is big, but his suit has the etching, like you see now at comic book conventions where you can see the muscle, even though the person may not be in full shape, but the costume itself has the little detail as if they are without wearing a muscle suit underneath. For me, watching the kid and then seeing the adult, it did not match in my opinion. Always brooding. He was always causing mischief, always, like you said, being a criminal.
Yeah.
And not trusting anyone. And in the comics, Billy is totally trusting. He's very optimistic. He's very positive, even though he's pretty much in a bad situation almost all the time. Living on his own, being an orphan, having it rough.
Correct me if I'm wrong. In the comics, even in the cartoons, they show that one of the reasons why he's able to be so optimistic about people and give people a second chance and Billy is like that quintessential Boy Scout in a lot of ways is because he idolizes Superman. Like more so than what was depicted in this movie. Like in this movie, it was like his best friend / foster brother. In the comics, like he was a Superman fanboy from the get-go, and he wanted to idolize himself, like model himself after Superman, and which could be argued, which in the comics they eventually established that the whole persona of Captain Marvel was how it's a combination of how he interprets how his father would look as a grown man, but bestowed with the physique and power of Superman. That's how he ended up becoming Captain Marvel physically.
Well, I mean, I don't know in the sense of how the comics, in the sense that even though I was a Shazam fan from the 70s and early 80s, when there was a live action one, like on a Saturday morning or Saturday early afternoon, they had a live action version. And I was a big fan of that. I just know in the cartoon, like Justice League and Young Justice, yes, he had that. He always looked up to those superheroes because, yes, they were his role models, something he hoped to be one day before he got his powers, of course.
Yeah.
He knows, like, if they're in this world, everything's gonna be okay. I know sounds like we didn't enjoy this, but the only thing for me was Billy Batson that really took it off. I love the foster parents. I love his foster brothers and sisters.
They were great.
Mark Strong, whatever he's in, he kills it. Yes. He's been in so many superhero films or superhero related movies already. Recycled. I understand. And I know I said before that bothers me. I don't like it, but I'm okay with him. I know it sounds like a hypocrite, but whatever he does, he's so captivating. He's just like a scene stealer in everything he does. He plays Sinestro in the Green Lantern movie. He played the father in Kick-Ass. I believe he did, the Kingsman did become a comic book. I wasn't sure if Kingsman was a comic book first, but he was in the Kingsman, which is comic book related.
They made it for the first, was it the first? Oh no, 2 films. He was for both of the first 2 films. Right,
but I'm just saying he's in that, and that's related to, I believe that's comic book related as well.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, he was awesome. And I get Zachary Levi. Is it Levi or Levi?
I feel like it's Levi, but we could be wrong.
Yeah.
Again, sorry if we are wrong, peoples.
Yes. Great. And then you have the brothers, the kid who played Freddy, Jack Dylan Grazer. He was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And you have also the one who played the Asian kid. He's from Fresh Off the Boat. I didn't realize it because I guess I never watched Fresh Off the Boat until after watching Shazam. But that was like a couple years after, so I never put it together.
Mm-hmm.
That was him in it as well. The foster father, he's from The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Digimon Hansu, the wizard.
Yes.
What's cool about this, like I'm interested how or what they had planned with Shazam, the Fury of the Gods, because you have the wizard in Shazam, you have him in the Black Adam, and he's back in the Fury of the Gods. So I'm hoping somehow, some way, Black Adam will be brought up again. I don't know how they will or what's going on, because again, in our review of the Black Adam, missed opportunity, a great missed opportunity, not having Shazam in that movie one way or another. Like he could have been at the end instead of Superman showing up.
Yeah, well, that awesome. That was a whole nother thing. Like he's like, let me bring in my friend, and I have someone else come in, and like Superman just shows up. I'm like, that makes no sense.
It doesn't.
At what point in the 3 to 4 day time that you've had his powers did Superman become like a friend or introduction? I get the whole ending of Black Adam. Guys, if you didn't watch that, sorry for the spoiler. But for the Shazam, that made no sense in that area. Oh, and before I forget, John Glover, love him in anything he does. Oh, yeah. I don't know any project he's been in that he makes a great, in part of my language, asshole dad.
Oh, but he also, yes, he's been recasted too, in a sense of...
Oh, he's been in a bunch of projects for DC.
Well, he was in Smallville.
Yeah.
Right? He was also in Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
He played the evil scientist who created Bane and tried to get involved with Poison Ivy.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, we know him from Gremlins too. But
he was in Lucifer.
He was in Lucifer. Yeah, so he's been, again, like recycled.
I mean, just to bring it back, yes. Mm-hmm. Are we saying a lot of negatives of the film? We are. Mm-hmm. But there's reasons for it. We're not trying to tear this movie down. We're actually just calling out what we see in this area. I do love some of the deep cuts that were there. Like you could argue that they could have just went straight for Black Adam because he's the most known villain towards Shazam. Picking Savannah, good choice.
So I think Savannah was the original one. I think he was the first villain.
He might have been the first, and then the caterpillar. I forget his name of the caterpillar, but that was also another notable one.
Right, at the end.
Mhm.
Right. Well, he showed up when the kid version of Dr. Savannah showed up. He was there in a tank or whatever, cage. And then he shows up later
Oh, I
with
don't remember that.
talking.
I missed
Yeah, yeah.
that.
You see him. Like, it's like very subtle, but it's like on the corner and it's blurry.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's not. It's like he shows. So he's there, and then they showed that cage, whatever that glass cage or case, broken, showing that he escaped. So
Okay.
yeah, there's a lot of Easter eggs. Of course, it's gonna be Easter eggs. There's so much source material out there. You can't help but acknowledge some of it, like the alligators. That's part of a story,
Yeah,
or crocodiles, and
the
the
crocodile men.
doors, right? But I was talking about with the Last Dragon, and I know you reacted like, "What the hell? What do you mean?"
Yeah, I don't
The
remember
part,
where the glow.
yeah. Well, no one glowed, no one glowed, but when they were back at the carnival,
Uh-huh.
and at the end, because it's funny, it's kind of like a full circle in a way where at a carnival he lost his family,
And he found his family there.
which was very nice.
Oh,
But
remind me about. I'll remember about this after you're done. But go ahead.
so
Continue.
when he's fighting Dr. Savannah
Mhm.
as Billy, he's trying to escape, and Dr. Savannah hits the ground or the stage that's like ice and water. Billy slides and falls into the water like he's like halfway in. So remember oh, see, now you're getting it.
Oh yeah,
But
go continue.
the timing is a little different. But Dr. Savannah grabs his head, puts his head in under the water, and it says, "Game over, boy." And when he said that, my head or my memory, excuse me, went right to Last Dragon.
Showing up.
When Shonuff comes back, shows his hands glowing,
Mm-hmm.
and when Leroy turns around and he says, "Game over, boy." And Leroy looks at his hands like, "How come my hands are not glowing?" And then later on, he's dunking
Leroy.
in the Shonuff, that is dunking him in a water, and where Leroy finally commits to him being the Last Dragon. Like he's saying, he is the master.
And that's
so
as at that moment he's having the flashbacks, just like in the Last Dragon.
right.
And
Where his family and
then wait, was it right then at that same moment where he punched him, where he tried to punch Shazam and he catches the fist?
no, that's in the air.
That was in the air. Okay.
Yes.
But
No,
he might as well
goes,
came back up and be like, "I am the master" at that moment. Like,
right. Well, he says Shazam,
yeah,
and then that blows up. And I was hoping, like the cartoon, because he did it. He says Shazam underwater, but the air didn't come out, and the lightning bolt didn't strike. He had to be out of the water first for it to be heard.
Which is just like a Black Adam, but
yeah, true. So you were going to say what? You were going to connect something?
That was one thing. One additional thing I didn't like, and it's probably my last part, was too soon for the family. Like,
yes.
Like I would have been cool, like if the family became a focal point here. I understand he needs to find his family and whatever, but sharing the power in the very first first movie, kind of takes away from the importance of him and finding himself because you can find your family and be a part of your family without having to share everything of your family to them all in one go.
Well, I mean, I agree and disagree with that, because he had still learning his powers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I find funny is like they all learned their powers right away. They like kind of knew what to do. I was like, yeah, that's kind of weird. Anyway, regardless of that, the thing is, like, he didn't know how to handle with all those demons, the 7 sins, and Dr. Savannah. So he's being bombarded from all angles. So it's basically 807, 801. Well, 7, because the one Envy was in Dr. Savannah.
They always
so it's basically
1.
701. It was 701. So the odds are they're very off. So he had to level out the playing field. I see what you're saying, but he needed that.
Mm.
Granted, and also it is a funny moment because he says, he puts the staff down and says, "Everyone, hold the staff. Say my name, Billy." It's like, no, what I've been saying. And so then they call out the name, and they all get the powers. The callback to, I said, Shoryuken, because the Asian character, the kid, was always playing video games.
Oh, yeah.
And so even though he had a wrong name for the power, he crossed between Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. It still worked.
True.
The geek in him still worked,
Which Billy didn't even do the lightning throw. Oh, no, he did do lightning throw, but not in the same way.
Right. He did like with the fingertips and stuff
Yeah,
like
he
that.
doesn't do it
He did.
offensively.
No, he does it for like
I'll
show
ch-
off and
It's like I'll charge your
for
cell phone. Like Black
right,
Adam would use it offensively. Like so, like the
right. Like he
the
did.
one brother would use it offensively. Like Billy just didn't do it.
Oh yeah, it was like it was very. But he was more like Palpatine too in the way he was doing with his fingers. But anyway, I do like where they brought some. I don't want to say realism into this in a way that because this is a superhero story, it's fantasy. But
True.
when they're flying and chasing each other, and they're a distance apart, and Dr. Savannah is talking to him, and Shazam is like, "What? Dude, I can't hear you. This traffic's going on,
Mm-hmm.
but I see your mouth moving, but I don't know what you're saying." And to me, that was a break from the action, of course.
Was
But you,
logical.
yeah, of course, that makes sense. It's all the noise traveling up in a city. It's gonna be hard to hear stuff.
It's not like he has
It,
super hearing as one of his powers.
but doesn't he?
I don't think he does.
See, I don't really know all his powers. And it says if it matches. No, it doesn't match Superman, so he doesn't have.
I mean, he has Superman-like powers, but they're not Superman powers. So he doesn't have like
Right.
frost breath. He doesn't have heat vision.
Right.
He doesn't have super hearing. He has super strength, endurance, speed.
Speed.
What something he has that doesn't have? He has the lightning, and which is magical lightning, not traditional lightning.
Well, he has
And
the powers of the gods.
exactly, and like
You know,
and one of
the
the things,
lightning of Zeus and all this. Yeah.
the wisdom of Solomon, which
Mm-hmm.
is the most ambiguous of all the powers, really. Even
What?
in cartoons and in comics, the wisdom of Solomon, no one knows how to write the wisdom of Solomon because really that should be like a walkthrough guide. Because
Well, the thing is, if you have the wisdom, you should know how to fly. You should know how to use your powers. You should know how to do that already because you have the wisdom from the God.
if I remember correctly, the wisdom of Solomon is the knowledge, is the wisdom or knowledge of all magical items and artifacts.
But isn't Shazam himself a magical artifact?
Exactly.
He's a living embodiment.
Exactly.
So he should know. So like he should automatically know how this happens.
Even if you set that aside, the eye of Savannah, you should already know how that works.
Right.
And like
Correct.
he needs all 7 of them to leave the eye, so he will have no power. No, and he doesn't know this. And
No,
like
Freddy does.
exactly, or the whole like there's a lot of flaws in the concept of wisdom of Solomon. That's just a flaw in general. That's not on the movie. That's in the character.
No, I agree with that.
And there's been a couple times where it's been explained, but that's like the cop out that a lot of writers have is like, well, he has the wisdom of Solomon. It's like Batman's. I've been preparing. I have prep time. So,
Right, but Batman executes it. He knows.
no, but that's
From
what I'm
his
saying.
preparation.
When the writer hits a block and they're like, we need to outsmart, and that's the way we do it. Wisdom of Solomon kicks in, and that's how they out. So it was like that's just like how we have a block. Batman can't do stuff. Well, he had prep time and he'd been preparing for this, and this is what he has it in his back cave, and that's his ultimate plan. Really, it's just a personal flaw I have with the character. But anyways,
But also there's another callback to Terminator 2.
come with me if you want to live.
Did he say that?
No, I just feel like that there's had been a moment like that.
No, but at the mall, when they're fighting at the mall, and Shazam falls into the dressing room, Dr. Savannah shows up and throws him against the wall,
Oh yeah.
right? Through the dressing room into the toy store. And again, there's a callback to Big as well, and that because on the piano. Also, when Shazam gets thrown through the glass window of the toy store, he falls on his back just like T1000 and T200, where the ones are that they fight and they go through a wall and they fall through into a store. Or they fall onto the main walk area. It's the same, almost exact thing. That's pretty cool. Also in Terminator 1, from when he got pushed out, shot through the club glass.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a callback to that. You can see that, you can recognize it where this director got some of his influences, of course. What do you say? The good things? Oh, the good things, like that's pretty much it. I mean, the pacing's good. You have the time of him learning his powers with Freddy. It's kind of like almost like Tobey Maguire and Andy Garfield learning their powers as Spider-Man and how to use it. Also with Iron Man, did that too, with taking that time. It is story driven. You understand Billy's motivation in the sense of why he's doing what he's doing in the sense of committing crime and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's sad. Even though it was annoying and I didn't agree with their approach of how Billy was, but when he finds out what his mother actually
His
let
life.
him go,
Yeah.
or right, and you feel for him. That's like, damn, that's heartbreak. You were thinking this whole time that it was by accident, but yet it was on purpose, and you feel for him regardless of how he was portrayed.
What that reminded me of, the way his character was written, was more like not Transformers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, the latest one that just came out.
Just came out.
Well, in comparison, not the first
I know
one,
what you're saying.
but yeah, everybody remembers Power Rangers, the original Power Rangers. Like, I need teenagers with attitude,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the original Power Rangers. This version that came out was, I need recruits, and they just get like, we want this kid that's in detention. We want these kids that start fights. We want these, like, all these literal on troublemakers. Even though in the originals they were like with attitude and whatnot, they weren't necessarily troublemakers. They were still good kids. They take a little bit of the concept and then did they go in the wrong direction, and that's what I felt was done with Billy. As far like we said, like the family, great. Savannah, actually really good. The idea and execution of the growth of the character, even though it's a little bit long in some points, is actually not bad, because like you're getting a more comical introduction to how he's learning and being a superhero, even though he's not doing his heroic deeds in that regards. So overall, in comparison to a lot of the other DC movies, I think it's a lot more fun and an interesting execution of a film. That's why, even though we're saying a lot of bad things, I'm still going to say it's not a bad film.
Well, no, I mean, it's far better than Suicide Squad. It's far better than Wonder Woman 84. Far better than, I'll say it's probably at the same level as Aquaman, maybe.
Yeah, I want to say, when you first saw Aquaman, I could be wrong, but I think you actually thought it was better than Aquaman.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do. Overall, I do find it better. This is better than Justice League, either version.
Yes, I will stand by that. I know people that would be like, what are you smoking? Like, you like this better than Justice League? I'm like, no, absolutely.
Yeah. I do like Man of Steel. I do like BVS.
Yeah, I know you love BVS. Let's be honest.
Well, the unrated version, or the extended version.
Yeah,
the 3-hour version. I do. I like that version better. If the timing is better, yeah, of course it still falls. But anyway, to me, the top of the list of the DCEU. I mean, this is far better than Black Adam. But the echelon or the champion of the DCU of films is Wonder Woman
84.
No. I said earlier, is that better than 1984? Woman 84. No. I'm just saying the first one.
Yes.
The way that's executed, the way it's done. Yes, of course, there are some issues with it. Every film does, but overall execution, the pace, everything is a lot better.
Wonder Woman in general was not 84.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman in general was like, I don't think we ever did a review officially on Wonder Woman, but
no,
it was beautiful to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember first time watching it in 4K and the scene coming up on the island. Beautiful. And then just the story captured the gist of it. I mean, yes, everything has its flaws, but it definitely is like one of the peak films of the DCEU series.
Everything that Mark Strong was in, I loved.
Yeah.
Okay, I loved. But where he goes to his father's office while they're having a meeting and he unleashes the 7 sins, that was really good. He did what Lex Luthor in Smallville wanted to do to his father, played by the same actor.
Yeah.
And it says, like, just like beat him to hell. Like, his father has the long hair or the full set of hair, where this one is bald and all this stuff. All that anger he had built up and hatred towards his father, he was able to unleash it, let loose. And it's horrifying, especially when some of the chairmen are being kicked out and out the window and down to their death. I was like, Jesus.
Actually, that was his brother that he threw out the window.
But there was a couple of people were thrown out.
Yeah, that's true.
So it was a couple. And then also the one where Shazam and Dr. Savannah are talking in a distance. That one I did like too. And so is that the action was good, but it wasn't really what stood out for me. But that thing of making things a little more logical in the sense of that talking through that distance and all that noise cutting in. The counterparts to the foster kids also was done very well, better than Shazam and Billy.
Yeah.
I mean, they did a great. I was like, wow, they got it. How come like they couldn't get it here? Like Zachary and Asher, the one who played Billy, they should have had a conversation. Like, let's do it like this. It's a little bit more. I understand that you're looking for your mom and you have a distaste for the world, but you're optimistic. You see the good in everything. Try to be like that. And we're here, it's like Making Good, the Black Shazam version. She did awesome in comparison to with her counterpart of
the little girl. Yeah, the little girl.
The little girl.
The one that runs
like,
there fast.
Yeah, he's like, oh wow, that can be like, she gets it. Also with Adam Brody, who played Freddy counterpart.
Yeah, from Dead Man on Campus is what I remember him from.
I think he's also in Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I think he has a cameo there. But anyway, they actually look alike, and their mannerism and the talking was very similar too. So I was like, that was like perfect casting.
And I think Mary Marvel's casting too was pretty good.
Well, Mary was played by, the older version was played by a Latina, and the other one, the original one, is a white girl.
But they do look pretty similar, I want to say.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't look that hard.
But I'm saying, like, the way those two counterparts, the Shazam version of the foster kids, knocked it out of the park, in my opinion. Where Billy and the actual Shazam, they didn't match.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's shameful that happened like that. But hey, I mean, granted, it is still good. Even though I've only watched it a few times, I still enjoy it. Rotten Tomatoes has it at 90% from the critics and 82% by the audience score. And I'm okay with that. I'm more like 85 to 90, but I'm okay with what they have it here for the audience and have it here for their regular critics. So, and I'm looking forward to, kind of disappointed still with Shazam, the Fury of the Gods. I wonder how they're going to play with it, because how they ended with it, with the credit scene with Dr. Savannah and that worm.
Yeah.
It looked like, okay, that will be the story or the lead for the story for the next, or for the sequel.
Exactly. And that's not touched. Or it might be touched and we just,
it may be touched. Right. I mean, I'm not going to look at the IMDb and look up
to see if he's still in there.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been trying to avoid much of the trailers as possible. I mean, I just get the gist of it, that who's in the sense of the three girls or three goddesses, and that they make a callback to Fast and the Furious with family.
I thought it was two goddesses, but yeah.
Huh? Who? What?
I thought it was two goddesses.
No, it's three.
Let's not Google it.
I'm not gonna look.
But you're right. I did see that part where he's like, it's all about family. Again, that's why I think the family part would have been better for this one. But Salavi, I'm not a writer.
Oh, and I love that I was in Philadelphia too.
Yeah.
I think it was very cool. I mean, we're from South Jersey, excuse me. We're from South Jersey. Philadelphia is 30 minutes away.
Sure.
And so to see that, and be like, besides Rocky, you don't have that many movies that
celebrate Jersey or Philly.
Right. not much. The Philadelphia Experiment, I think that's with Ross Blowout with John Travolta.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind. So anyway,
I mean, I don't disagree with the ratings. I kind of side with that. One day we probably should we talk about it enough that we should probably do an official review of Shazam versus Superman.
It's not versus. It's Shazam, Superman, or Superman, Shazam.
It's slash.
Black Adam.
I consider
right.
that.
So it's not really? Okay.
It's a Shazam divided by Superman.
I don't know. Now, granted, there is, we'll look it up, but you show me a clip, and I saw a clip earlier also where there's a fight scene in that cartoon, very reminiscent to Undisputed with Scott Adkins' character,
Boyka,
right, doing a combo, punch kick combo. And I'm wondering, I think that Return of Black Adam was done first. I'm thinking, because animation takes a long time, so I'm thinking.
Maybe.
Anyway, all right, guys, that is it for us on our DC-ness review of 2019's Shazam. If you have a movie you would like us to review, please comment below or email us at talesoftvbros@gmail.com. Until next time, we'll be the next time. I'm Angel.
I'm Adon.
Love you, bro.
Love you too. But how do I sound good to you, right?
No, you're fine.
I'm damn straight I'm fine.